Now, this is not Inception. I'm playing a video that I made earlier this month, and I was talking about Toyota's incredible sales success as of late. And I also was talking about how Toyota has by far the lowest amount of inventory compared to the competition on the market. So Cox Automotive, what they do is give us daily supply for inventory, meaning Toyota and Lexus have a 30-day supply. That is, well, it's not normal, first of all, not even in post-pandemic times, not even pre-pandemic times. 30-day supply is about half of where manufacturers would like to be. You know, traditionally, 60 to 90 days is kind of where supply has floated. Now, if you have more than 90 days supply, especially, you are not very healthy. You have to discount your cars massively. The dealers don't want to hold on to the inventory because it costs them money just to have that car on their lot. And so when you see Ram, Lincoln, Land Rover, Audi, Mitsubishi, it's not the healthiest of situations. And then you see Toyota and Lexus, and it's literally, they're playing a different ball game. Many of their models are already pre-sold for Toyota and their luxury division Lexus. And Honda is similar in that they're definitely outpacing the industry by a lot. Okay, Toyota, Lexus, and Honda bringing down the national average here massively. Otherwise, it would be somewhere in the 80s. So what we have here is the production and sales figures for Toyota in the month of July. I know we're at the end of August, but we just got the numbers for July. And what we're seeing here is absolutely staggering. And it's not just North America, it's across the entire globe, and including China, where Toyota is setting all-time sales records for the company. 7 straight months of sales growth for Toyota, and July is no exception. In fact, it's a record breaker for the month of July. So if you guys are complete Toyota freaks, nerds, or just enjoy cars, make sure to smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe, but not only for more content, but coming from Japan. I'm going back to Japan at the end of October for the Japan Mobility Show 2025 with my good friend David Chow. We're going to give you guys some great hands-on coverage of the makes and models from Japan, just like we did last year. And in fact, Honda has just teased what they're going to be showing there, from jets to cars to motorcycles. I eat all that stuff up. So I'll have to make a separate video for this more than likely. So stay tuned for my Honda breakdown, what Honda could be showing at the Japan Mobility Show. All right, so let's get into this real nerdy breakdown from Toyota here. And we're focusing on the far right. This is right below my little camera screen. July 2025, they sold almost 900,000 vehicles in the month of July, which is almost a 5% increase. This is a record high all time, which includes a Lexus in this case, record all-time July. Now, if we look at sales outside of Japan, also a record. Now, inside of Japan, they're down 3.6%. Not terrible, but that's not where you want to be. Toyota outside of Japan is up 6.5%. Again, a monthly record in terms of sales. Now, look at this number here, 6,058,000. We know Toyota sells more than any other manufacturer of cars. So what we're going to do is divide by 7 times 12. They're pacing 10.3 million vehicles. That's not a record, I would say, for all-time sales for Toyota, but it's got to be close. I want to say they hit like 11 million a couple of years ago. So they're not burning that hot, but if they keep this sort of momentum up, we could see, it's possible we could see an all-time record in terms of sales, but I don't think so. I think Toyota has been like reducing their production a bit to a more sustainable level. So here we have it. Worldwide sales. Sales were up year on year due to strong sales in North America and China. So let's just look at North America here. Tacoma and 4Runner seen strong sales. We've seen that, especially, I don't know, I wouldn't say 4Runner really. but Tacoma absolutely seen massive sales, and hybrids, of course. So Toyota up 6% in North America for 2025 so far. The United States up 6.3%. Canada down, well, they're up, but not as high as the United States. Canada up 3%, Mexico up 2%. And the rest, meaning Caribbean and Central America, is down about a percentage point. Very low volume, though. All right. If we go to Latin America, which I'm guessing is South America, I don't know why they just don't put South America. Maybe it includes some of Central America. I don't know what designates them here, but that's up 6%. Brazil, though, is kind of struggling. Argentina is growing quickly. All right. Europe up 1.4%. The European market right now, it's tough. It's really, really tough. The market there has been cooling for a couple years. Toyota, though, still seeing growth. The UK, though, minus 3%. France, minus 12%. Italy, up 1%. Germany, down 1%. Spain. So we're seeing massive growth in Spain here, which is helping Toyota out to stay positive. All right, Spain up 15.4%. And then the rest of Europe, which is a huge amount here, is up of 4% as well. All right. It's tough. It's tough in France when you have other French automakers like Renault, Citroën, etc. All right, UK, it's tough, right? But they do build some Corollas there in the UK. Italy, it's tough. So many Italian automakers. Germany, it's tough. So many German automakers. So Spain not having the amount of traditional automakers as those other countries, maybe they're like, hey, Toyota's our bread and butter. That's a possibility. Or if we go to Asia, this is also really benefiting. I mean, they're up the most in North America, specifically the United States, okay, with how much volume they sell there. But let's see what's going on here. In Asia, they're up 5%. They're up 6.6% in China. Despite the ongoing severe market environment, including a shift to new energy vehicles and intensifying price competition, sales were up year on year due to promotional measures linked to government subsidy policies and strong sales of new battery electric vehicle, the BZ3X, and hybrid cars. The BZ3X is a $15,000 Model Y sort of. It's not quite as performance focused as a Model Y. I think of it as it's almost like a Highlander, a two-row Highlander, fully electric. All right. And it's $15,000. It's selling really, really well for them. All right. Indonesia, not selling well. Indonesia is seeing year-on-year decline due to challenging market environment caused by strict loan screenings, introduction of additional taxes, and other factors. Other factors are Chinese competition. All right. So Thailand, same sort of factors there, limiting them in Thailand. But Thailand's still a big market for Toyota. Philippines up 5.4%. Taiwan down 3%. Malaysia down 5%. Pakistan up 63%. Vietnam up 24%. Pakistan is growing fast for Toyota. That's really cool. Vietnam as well. Isn't that interesting? Vietnam, it's a very competitive market there. They have VinFast, but this looks like the market says, hey, we'd rather have Toyota. South Korea up 10%. That's got to be a tough environment due to Hyundai and Kia and even General Motors making a lot of cars there. All right. So Toyota actually doing decent. It's such a small volume, but they're doing well respectively. India, a massive market. Look at, they sold 182,000 vehicles there so far this year, up 13%. Toyota has a lot of opportunity to grow in India because Suzuki and Maruti Suzuki, I believe that's their joint venture there. Like they are Suzuki's the Toyota of India. They are the number one. Toyota just kind of has to hang on the coattails a little bit of Suzuki and they'll see massive success, and it looks like they are up 16%. Rest of Asia up 13%. So if we go back to Japan, remember, they were down 3.6% on the month, but they're up 10% on the year. So they're actually, something's not working out for them, even though they say demand remains steady. Something fell in July. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but maybe the market's cooling in Japan. Overall, Japan's up 10% on the year. Oceania about neutral. Middle East up 3%. Africa up 10%. And let's keep moving. Production. Holy cow. Not only did we have a record high of sales in July, we had a record high for global production of 846,000 units. And production outside of Japan is also a record high for the month of July, up 12%. Japan down 5.5%. Maybe because of tariffs, they have been reducing volume just a little bit. It's hard to say. Okay, but up 12% in terms of production outside of Japan. Production by country, this is where it gets really nerdy and fun for me. Where are they making the most vehicles here? 95,000 units. That's up 28%. Toyota doing their best to increase production in the United States because of the tariff situation. Up 28%. But look, Canada also up 15%. Mexico, where they make the Tacoma, up 13%. Wow. Overall, up 22% on the month of July. So far this year, they're only up 7.5%. All right. But look at the Mexico production, up 48% for the Tacoma. Remember last year, they had a lot of production issues and supply chain issues with the new generation Tacoma. Well, that's all fixed now. 183,000 Tacomas have been made this year. Holy smokes. Production exceeds the previous year due to recovery from last year's production stoppage caused by recalls of the TX and Grand Highlander, as well as strong performance of hybrid vehicles by continued steady demand, as well as the Tacoma, right? They just don't talk. They didn't mention it there. All right, but that's a big thing. Production up in Latin America. They don't make that many cars there, just 28,000 for the month of July, 211,000 though so far this year. So it is substantial. I'll take my words back. They make a lot in Brazil and Argentina. They don't make, they just need to take Venezuela out of here. They stopped making vehicles in Venezuela a long time ago. All right, over in Europe, production down 6%. Not sure why. Maybe they're bringing in more cars from Japan. I mean, but July up, but that's year to date. July was up 3%. You know, they make a lot of cars in Turkey, but that's down 15%. Here's my guess. They're going to start making electric vehicles in Turkey, so maybe they're having some snags there as they switch over maybe some production lines to electric cars. That's just a guess. UK, though, up 12%. Corolla selling well in Europe. France down 5%. I didn't know that they produce cars. And I didn't know this, but the Yaris and the Yaris Cross are made in France. They also make the Yaris and Igo X in the Czech Republic. And those numbers are up huge, up about 40% on the month of July for that little Igo X and Yaris coming out of the Czech Republic. Whoa, that is insane, this production jump. All right, let's move to Asia. Toyota is up 11% in the month of July for production in Asia. And up 7% on the year. So I'm curious about China because that is the largest market and where they produce the most. Toyota's up 17% for production in China for the month, up 13% on the year. Toyota is growing, ladies and gentlemen, in China in a very hostile and difficult market to succeed in. 135,000 units for the month of July. Sales are up in Vietnam, but production is down. Taiwan about neutral. Malaysia up 11%. Thailand up 8%. Philippines up 5%. Indonesia up 4%, even though sales in Indonesia seems to be going the other direction. India, sales up 9%. And again, China up 17%. And whatever they're making in Pakistan is up 70%, but it's only 3,400 vehicles. And apparently they make, through Indus Motor Company, the Toyota Corolla, the Yaris, and the Yaris Cross, the Fortuner, and the Hilux. That is a ton of different models across different platforms that they make, and that's crazy. And just such a small little plant there, only 3,400 vehicles. Anyways, Myanmar, I didn't know they produce vehicles there. That's up 42%, but that 200 models, not a big deal. Cambodia, I didn't know they made vehicles there, 228 models. Toyota producing a lot in Asia, producing a lot of sales as well for the year. Africa, even production is up there, 8% on the month, 23% on the year, despite some pretty low production volume. Sales of electrified vehicles. This is always fascinating. Sales of electrified vehicles, including Lexus. If we look at standard hybrids for electrified vehicles, it's up 15% on the year, up 5% on the month. With the new RAV4 going fully hybrid, at least for our market, where they sell a crap ton of them, it's going to do really, really well. If we go to plug-in hybrids, up 30% on the year, up 40% on the month. They still don't sell hardly any plug-in hybrids, just 16,000 versus 365,000. Where's my calculator? 16 divided by 365. It's only about 4% of Toyota's total hybrid sales, including plug-in hybrid, is the plug-in hybrid. So like 95+% of their hybrids are standard hybrids, and only 4 or 5% are plug-in hybrids. Now that will change over time. How fast it will change, I guess it depends on market demand and how affordable Toyota can make their plug-in hybrids. Right now, they're very expensive. All right, battery electrics. This is going to be interesting. What are these numbers? I don't know why they're highlighted here. That was May of 2025. If we look at June and July, look at this growth. Okay, worldwide sales for BEV skyrocketed, probably due to the fact of the BZ3X. All right, but it's up 57% on the month of July. And we go back 2 months earlier, is only at 4% up. That's crazy. So 18% on the year, but they're trending higher and higher and higher due to Japan. Sorry, due to China. I look at Japan and they're down 73% on BEVs. That's a joke. They don't care about BEVs in Japan. They sold 45 units of BEVs in Japan. Complete joke. Sales outside Japan, almost 100,000 units so far this year, up 20% cumulatively. As a former Lexus master sales consultant, this is where I really geek out as well. How's Lexus doing? Lexus is, the GX is a new product. The ES is coming out the beginning of next year. What does Lexus have that's really new and fresh and invigorating? Not a lot, to be honest. They're kind of stagnant with new product right now until the new ES comes out, until the new ZC comes out. And yes, this was just trademarked today. So not LF, that's Lexus Future, but Lexus ZC. Let me see if I can pull it up. European Patent Office. ZC was trademarked. So Lexus is a bit snoozy before the big reveals at the Japan Mobility Show in just a couple months. All right, so let's look at what Lexus is doing. Despite they're just kind of coasting right now, trying to produce more hybrids at higher volume. And we look at the worldwide sales, they're up 5% on the year, up 3% on the month. Japan for Lexus, it's a smaller market. It's about 1/10 of their total sales globally. They're down 3% in Japan, but we know sales overall for Toyota and Lexus is down in Japan. Sales outside of Japan, up 5%, 6% on the year, up 4% on the month. North America, Lexus is cranking. They're on pace to beat last year's all-time sales record year. They're looking to outpace that even. So up 8.5% on the year, up 10% on the month, continuing to just chug through the sales. Latin America, up 20% on the month, 17% on the year. Europe, up 2.5%. The hardest market in the world, maybe China, in the luxury segment to compete, right, is Europe. They have Mercedes-Benz, they have BMW, they have Jaguar Land Rover, etc. All right, it's a very hostile environment for Lexus to compete there, and they're doing it. They're still growing. They're still a small player there, but they're still growing. Up 8% on the year, up 2.5% on the month. Asia. Why is Asia down? I'm not sure. I don't know if they're falling out of favor. I would assume they're falling a little bit out of favor in China. Now, Toyota is up in China. Lexus might not be, because there are so many more high-end luxury EVs there, and Lexus is just not making them yet. Okay, we have the ZC coming, possibly the ZL, but until Lexus can produce them in their new Shanghai Lexus plant in 2027, 2028, they might keep going down in sales. All right, but that's just my guess. They're all, and Lexus is doing everywhere well besides the Middle East. Surprisingly, they're doing well in Africa and Oceania, but Africa only sold 119 Lexus models. They export a lot from the United States. I remember selling a few cars to exporters. They buy them used because you can't send new cars overseas. There's rules about that. They have to be registered first in the United States, so it's a bit tricky. So they typically buy slightly used cars and then they send them over to Africa. So the import market there is huge. Should I say that for used Lexus, but not so much for new Lexus models. But like I said, this vehicle will show at the Japan Mobility Show once again. I'll bring it to you once again in more production ready form. I hope we have real buttons and stuff, but this looks like an interior that would be a nightmare to live with. Absolute nightmare. Who needs that many screens? I literally have 5 screens in the cockpit, and that's not including the digital rearview mirror. Yikes. And maybe 7. And if you include the digital rearview mirror and this little panel here, it could be 7 screens. My most recent review with Audi, more screens does not equal luxury. Materials, great controls. All right, that screams luxury. But everything's being made for China, guys. Everything's being made for China. Look at the new Lexus ES, which I made like about an hour-long video on the new Lexus ES, and that how it's not, and it's especially in its electric form, it's not going to be a success in China or in the United States, I don't believe, or even in Europe, okay? They need to have hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and powerful performance hybrids, and they don't. Well, at least they have the standard hybrid, but they don't have like high-end hybrids. Anyways, I don't want to digress too far. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more coverage. Have a great day, and peace.